Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to your Rangers Rabble live at 5 on a Friday. My name is Bryan. I'm the host tonight. And in the hot seat with me is Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing?
Not bad, Bryan. Not bad at all, mate. Looking forward to the game at the weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you can put this down to, you can build this as it's a big game. Sunday, Hearts leading the league. We are slightly, you could say, on an upward trend in the regards to the form sort of book. We're unbeaten in 8, 6 wins, 2 draws, 5 clean sheets in that time. Surely the team have got to take a little bit of confidence into this game, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they will do. I mean, if you look at the last few games, whether you would call it complete confidence or they're more starting to realise, some of them, what the club is actually about, slowly but surely. Because Daniel Rule seems to have got what the club's about. Yeah. I'm presuming that's come from conversations with Kavanagh about, we can't go back to what's happened. We've made mistakes, because he did admit that, the chairman, and they don't want that made again. He's got Stig coming in, and some of the lads are raising their performances. Okay, we could sit and argue they're not pretty, but as I said previously, if we get 1-0 to the Arsenal results from now to the end of January, I'll escape from every ground with 3 points. I'll be happy with that. The performances can come later.
Yes, I'll take 1-0 to Arsenal results till the 11th of January. I'm bookmarking the 11th of January is where that, for me, that's the point that you look at and you think, right, where are we now? Because as you've just said, you've Hearts away, Motherwell at home are obviously doing reasonably well. You've got St Mirren home, then you've got the Celtic game, then you've got the 2 back-to-back Aberdeens. So, the 11th of January for me is the bookmark where you turn around and you say, right, where are we? That's that for me. I don't know if you agree, but that's the moment I'm looking at where we're going to be in the league title race.
Yeah, 100%. It's we've now got a chance, well, more than a chance really, to put in performances that we've started to show, i.e. Kilmarnock, i.e. Hibs, where we're a little bit more structured. We seem to be a little bit more on the ball. Yeah, Fernandes is still doing these silly turns. Just needs somebody to speak to him. Connor Barron, when he keeps his head on, is the man. If he doesn't go running around the park. It'd be great to see Raskin come back and raise his game. That'd be another plus. Obviously we've got the problems at the moment with Majowski. We don't know. Is it 50-50? Is he going to make it? Has the injection worked? Nobody knows. But if they can go out and do again with a wee bit more effort, because they're going to have to put more effort than they put in against Hibs, certainly in the first 15 to 20 minutes, I would think. Because Tynecastle is going to be jumping. It's going to be absolutely jumping at Tynecastle. And there'll be a couple of players there who will it'll be a sharp intake of breath for them because it'll be like, Jesus, what's this? We've just got to go out there and we've got to do what we did against Hibs. Even if we're getting it wrong, we've got to play tough. You know what I mean? We have to play tough. And it's the old adage, even at this level. I heard Kenny say it once on a show, and I say the same thing as a coach. You know what I mean? You tell your players, win your individual battles and then we'll win the war.
Yeah.
When you've got a few players who don't want to win their battles, that's where you've got your issues. Because you're then leaving it to another player to pick up that bit of space along with another player to pick up that bit of space. So we've just got to go from the get-go. And as we said, 1-0, 2-1s, get out of the ground, 3 points, get on to the next game. One game at a time till the 11th of Jan. Simple as that.
Absolutely. It's almost like a domino effect, as you say. If one doesn't pick up the slack, then it just falls on other people and it just keeps going and spreads the team. So you're perfectly correct. Sniper, this is the Rangers Castor golf jumper I'm wearing. So it's a really nice sort of fleece that you can, well, it's not even a fleece, it's like a quarter zip jumper, but you can wear it to anything because it's quite, nobody quite gets what it is initially. And then obviously they see the Castor and they probably think, oh yeah, very good. So that's what it is.
Canadian supporters jacket.
Very good. Very nice.
Jacket. Gotta say my cousin.
Absolutely. One bit of news that came out of the press conference, as you just alluded to, was that Lyle Cameron, Majowski won't be available. Well, Lyle, he was a bit coy when, as you said, Majowski. He wasn't saying he wasn't going to be there, but question marks about them. Majowski, it's not one you want him to miss, but at the same time, if he's not ready, he shouldn't be playing.
Well, this is it. I mean, he said, if I'm right, he said he'd had an injection. Now, you know, the level where I coached in the British Gas League, you give players injections and you gave them 2 hours to see a reaction, you know, either good or bad. He didn't say any more than that. So is he keeping it close to his chest, you know, and allowing McInnes to think, oh, don't know, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Because that's, you know, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be doing my best not to give it away, but in the same breath, I'd be trying not to scare the pants off our fans. Because we all know if he's not playing, it's one of them jobs that, oh no, not him. You know what I mean? Let's not say his name, not him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's, you know, Cameron, I just don't understand it. I've not seen anywhere on socials that he's got a knock or he's got an injury, or I just don't know. And it's only speculation, but is he having the same problem with Rule that Raskin had with Martin? Is that a possibility?
Possible.
Or is it just plain and simple that Rule's not seen enough from him on the training ground? You don't know, do you?
No, it's a funny thing as well, because I've heard that Lyle Cameron's like literally the fittest guy at Ibrox. He's like, he outdid everybody in the bleep test. You know, he's as fit as a fiddle. So I don't think effort is one thing that Lyle Cameron lacks. I mean, this is a guy that we signed from Dundee who was lauded by a lot of people in Scotland. He single-handedly kept Dundee up last season, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for his sort of goal and assist sort of contributions, I think Dundee would have been relegated. So, you know, I don't think effort is certainly a thing that Lyle Cameron's lacking, is it?
No, Paul's just saying there in the comments that he's read that Cameron had an injection and won't be available. I hadn't seen that, so if Paul's seen that, then that's maybe a clue as to what's happening there. But what you're saying about Cameron is right, because he stayed with Dundee to the end of the season and he didn't drop his performances.
Nope.
You know, and that is credit to the boy, because a boy of that age, you know, any player of that age would have his head turned going to Rangers, you know, a bigger club, you know, but he didn't. He ground in, he kept working hard. And I believe he was one of the only ones, if not the only one, that Thelwell wasn't involved in bringing in. And I think Thelwell tried to reverse it, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So I don't know what the hell's going on with him. If he's injured, then fair enough. But it would do us good as a group for Danny Rule to tell us that categorically. The boys, you know, like he did with Raskin the other night, got a slight strain, so he's on the bench. You know, like he's done with Sterling. He's come back, we're giving him 50, 60 minutes. We all get that. But he's leaving us sort of hanging on the rail, you know, well, what's going on, mate? Because I think he could do a shift, you know, for 20, 30 minutes when we need him, if he's fit. Yeah. If he's fit. And that brings you to the Sterling thing as well. Does he start? Does he come off the bench? You know, I'm going to get shot down here, I think. But I don't see him starting, because if he starts and picks up something early, then we're in a bit of bother. I think we keep him for the bench just in case we do hit a stumbling block and we can put him on and get 50 or 60 minutes out of him, you know?
So does that lean you towards sort of Fernandez and then Salia back line? Because
I do. That's the way I'm leaning, That's the way I'm leaning. But then Danny Rule's the gaffer. Again, he sees them, you know, as we say, 8 till 5, 9 till 5, he sees them, whatever. So, you know, if he puts them in, then you've got to back the gaffer. You know, we have to back him if he puts them in from the start. I'm still a little bit concerned that, you know, the word is he's still not quite 100% Sterling, you know, having done his Achilles. And I think you've probably heard me on other shows say this, that if he picks up another one, is that another 5 months we lose him for? And then that's his season completely buggered. And that's what we do not need at this moment in time. No, because on his game, potentially, he's probably our best player at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is a question or a statement from Stuart that's come in, and this is interesting because numbers are very low in that department. You know, Danilo should start up against Hearts. He needs to start proving himself now. With the news, obviously, that Miovski is certainly borderline. I think that's as good as we can put him. 50-50 is as good as it's going to be. That gives Danny Rule the option of Danilo or Chermiti. Now, we've all heard our say on Chermiti. I think a lot of us have had our say on Danilo as well, but one of them's got to play up front. Now, maybe it'll be two of them up front. I don't know. I think two up front would be extremely brave, considering that's the only two we have available. But this is a huge call against Hearts, isn't it? Because Chermiti's struggled well, over the piece since he's arrived. Danilo's had moments where he's got crucial goals, but folk again say that he's not us. He's not one of these traditional number nines that plays up in his own. He needs somebody with him. So is there potential for Chermiti and Danilo to start up front, or is it one or the other?
I think there's got to be one or the other. And my simple thesis on that is that Braga will hang on the shoulder like he did against Celtic. He will hang on the shoulder. He will play to the whistle. Hence he got the goal. And Shankland will do what he does. He will come and drop and pick the ball up from the middle if he has to. So we need to have somebody in there to combat that, so that we can leave the other midfielders like Bryan and that to do their job in behind, to protect the guy that's up top. Because Shankland will be all over the place between the front and the middle. He won't just sit stationary. People say that Shankland scores goals. Shankland does more than just score goals. Well, he handballs the ball, we know that, but but he does do more than that. He does come deep, he does feed the supply, and he does go forward and want it back again. Yeah. And we need to have somebody up front. That the problem with these two that we've mentioned is you need one of them to hold the ball up to bring us into the play. And I don't think either of them can do it at the moment, to be honest. That's my concern. So do you go with Moore up through the middle? Is that an option? Is that an option, though? Is it an option?
Could be. Could be. I mean, as far as regards to Hearts, we've got to obviously look at the team that we're playing. I mean, what sort of... I mean, you obviously, you've done a lot of your coaching stuff like Kenny has. I mean, what's the danger zones for Hearts? Where are they likely to cause, the most damage to Rangers?
I think they'll cause more damage in front of our back 3 or 4, depending on what we go with. Because what they tend to do with Braga is they leave him sitting, and they let Shankland run. You know what I mean? And then the midfield just keep pushing Shankland. They push onto Shankland so that he can go left or right. And like Braga did against Celtic, he'll sit. And, when the offside decision, they were all screaming for it. He thought, thank you very much. I'll stay where I am, go. And their back line switched off. And that's what concerns me, that we'll do the same, hand in the air, blah, blah, blah. It's the old adage. And every coach at every level, even under nines, will tell you, you don't change until the whistle goes. It's that. And hopefully Daniel Rule will be drumming that into them. Because Hearts, they do that. And McInnes, I'm hoping, and it's probably a forlorn hope because he's quite an intelligent manager, but he's used to the way we played when Martin was in charge. He's not come up against us wholly in this sort of, shall we say, improved form, if you like, or improved commitment. I don't know which is the right way to put it. As Wally said last night, we haven't got players anymore like, Tom Forsyth, etc., that will run through brick walls. Yeah. But I think we're slowly getting into these players that, that badge you've got on your chest actually means something. It's not just for you to come up here, pick a wage up and say, thank you very much, see you Monday for training. And when January's now coming and Rothwell and that go, then they'll see that. And Hearts will also, they'll go narrow if they need to. In the hope that we'll contract in and leave space for them to come round the back of us, because we are susceptible to the ball over the top. We really are. Yeah.
Who's under the biggest pressure on Sunday? Is it Rangers or Hearts?
To be honest, Hearts. I believe. Because if we beat Hearts, which I'm confident we will, that's another 3 points they've dropped. The only thing they've got going for us like us is that Celtic are dropping points at the minute.
Yeah.
And they could well be beaten again because by the look of it, what's his name's being left in place or in situ for the time being. That guy that was going to sign for Carlisle because he knows Scottish football. A beauty, But I think Hearts are under the more pressure than us because people are expecting us to suffer.
Yeah, it's a fair shout.
People are expecting us to suffer.
Yeah, Jason's got a question for us. Would you bring in academy players to fill in at centre back and centre forward? I think it's a big ask to ask somebody to come in, certainly at centre forward. I don't think there's anybody outstanding that's got experience or got the nous to play at Tynecastle away. I think the same at centre back. I mean, it's a difficult one, this, isn't it? Because yes, numbers are low, but at the same time, you don't want to throw in a youngster and crucify him, do you?
No, you don't. And the other thing you got to be mindful of as well is, if we're totally honest, bar a very few, what has our academy given us over the last 10 to 12 years?
Not much.
Not much. That you can actually say, well, he's come out and he's gone in the team and done X, Y, Z. And I think to do it in a game like this, you would be, I know we all say that players should be, if they're old enough, they're ready. If they're good enough, they're ready. If they're good enough, they're old enough. That's all the adages that go around. But like you say, you drop a youngster in there up top. Let's say he gets a chance and he does a chimity and fluffs it completely. I would suggest that within those 30 seconds afterwards, his confidence will go through the floor, out on the pitch. And he could then become a liability up front. He could go missing in action, as they say. So, whilst I don't want to knock the young boys, I would worry on that.
I mean, I appreciate that the Old Firm is coming up on then the start of January, but is this one bigger?
Yeah.
Because it's first.
Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. It's first. Like I said earlier, we need to go in, and if it is snatch the victory, 1-0, 2-1, whatever, get out, take the 3 points, set up again, go again. Go again with, is it Motherwell and St Mirren, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Go again there, because if we beat Hearts, there is absolutely no point in not doing anything in the next 2 games after that.
Absolutely.
Because we've just chucked it down the plunger. We've got to, if we come away with the victory, which again I'm confident we will, it'll be tough. Let's not kid ourselves. It'll be tougher than Hibs. That's for sure. It'll be tougher than Hibs. And we can't then get away from Tynecastle with 3 points and then end up with a draw and a potential defeat somewhere along the line. Yeah. Now, St Mirren are going to be flying for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. Motherwell, have already stuck it to us at the start of the season. Yeah. So they'll want to prove they can do it again no matter who the manager is. And it's now starting to see that the other teams are now noticing, hold on a minute, Rangers, 6-8 games, they've not lost. Blah. Oh, hold on, we need to raise our game, because everybody raises their game against us. We know that. Yeah. We know that. And this is what I'm hoping Danny Rule's drumming into them now.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting one from Paul's. This is another option that Danny Rule's got. What about Tav at centre-back next to Fernandes with either Sterling or Aarons at right-back? I mean, I can see that. Again, numbers might dictate Danny Rule's selection purely for the fact that there's not much options. So he might have to slot Tav at, say, right centre-back, or, if there's a 3. I would like to see Tav in a 2 at the centre-back, because I don't think that's his thing. But maybe I'm wrong, but Tav in a 2 at the back in the centre-half position, I'm not so sure about that.
No, me neither, because you can't criticise Butland too much, but one of my critiques about him is he doesn't take ownership of what I call his unit. And a goalkeeper's unit is his 2 centre-backs in front of him. That's his unit. Andy Gordon would tell you that, God bless him, if he was alive, that the 2 centre-backs are my unit and they talk to the full-backs. Yes. And I control them. And Butland, for me, the last few games hasn't done that. Now, if Tav goes in there at centre-back, I think that automatically means we play a bit deeper. Mm-hmm. Simply because of his legs. Because if he gets turned 35 yards out, he's not getting back. He's not getting back. And that would concern me. And I'm not sure Fernandes, although he needs the games to be educated, I'm not sure he's yet there where he can think, oh, hold on a minute, I better just drop a wee bit here because he's going to get caught. It's the other way around. Tav needs to talk to him You know what I mean? Not the other way around. So having a 2, that would. Oh, I might have to go to the toilet, Bryan, because you've got me worrying now.
Going back to the Brentford conference, obviously Danny Rowe was asked about his January plans and who he was looking at, and he was asked what positions he was looking at, and he kind of laughed and says, "Well, I'm not going to tell you that, am I?" So, but it's interesting that he's already. Well, he said in the press conference he was speaking to agents and players. So things are obviously in motion for January. Where I think it's blatantly obvious where the key sort of positions are, aren't they? It's forward and centre back. And left back. That's for me is the positions that we're needing. We're needing a left back to help out Magoma. We're needing centre backs because numbers are lacking, and then obviously the forward line. So is that? Do you think that's the 3 key positions that we're needing?
I think the first one is we need to get a forward in that one can hold and play with Majowski and let Majowski play off the shoulder, and he just drops a wee bit, holds and feeds. And he's experienced. So again, it goes back to that, maybe a forward that's on the fringes of a World Cup squad that is knocking on the door to the manager of that particular country. Listen, Gaffer, I want to be involved. I want to go to the States, Canada, Mexico, whatever it is, and get him in. Now, that may well be a loan, but if it is a loan, it needs to be a loan that's going to go in the team and not just in the squad. And at the minute, we're only entitled to one more loan player because we've got the 6 in, or 5, I think, 1 space left. And I believe you can take 2 project-type players, younger ones, on loan. But that's not the route we need at the forward, a younger. We need somebody that will come in from January to the end of the season and potentially give us 10 to 12 goals, maybe a bit more. And then Majowski to be fit and kick on from where he banged in the brace. Then we need somebody in the centre mid because Raskin's not doing it. He does it for Belgium. He's not doing it for us. Very cleverly, he instigated his year on his contract. Very cleverly. And we do. At centre back, you're bang right. We need 2. We definitely need 2. 2 experienced ones.
Yeah, I mean, multiple man saying a striker. In fact, two of them is a priority. I mean, it's going to be a difficult one for the manager because he's been left with a striker who's £8 million who can't score. He's then got Danilo, who's really low in confidence. That it's a difficult one with Danilo for me because I do believe there is a player in there, but his confidence is just shot just now. And then Majowski, who's picked up a knock, unfortunately, I think, because everybody was expecting Majowski to play against Hearts, but because he suddenly started to find his shooting boots and finding his form that he had up at Aberdeen. So it's a case of now the numbers up front are actually a wee bit low as well because Chermiti's. I appreciate that he had a little bit of a better game against Hibs, but again, there's not enough there for me to convince he's going to be able to lead the line at Tynecastle.
No, I don't think so either. I've said before when I was on with Martin, I would like nothing better than a boy to prove me completely wrong at the end of the season. I've notched up 15 goals. I'll be the first one to write a letter to Ibrox and say, "Well done, kid, you proved me wrong." You know what I mean? Because any player's capable of doing that. As I said before, you don't get to this level in the game if you haven't got something about you. You don't get picked for the Portuguese under-21s if you haven't got something that they've seen. But the rumour mill on the socials is saying that we bought him for that money through Thelwell because Everton were going to break the fair play rules. And they were going to help us out with Raskin in the summer, allegedly. How true that is, I do not know. But it would go a long way to explaining why we paid that money for him because I'm sorry to say it, mate. I think we all know it. He's not worth that money anywhere near it. Not in current form. So leading the line against Hearts, it is a worry. I'm just hoping that Danny Rowe's playing his cards close to his chest regarding Majowski so that he's making McInnes think. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Now, a good one from Paul. Who plays on the wings? Will Gassama come back in with Moore or Curtis on the other side? I mean, this is, it's a difficult one, this one, because I would say Moore's definitely going to start. I think that's an absolute given. I think the decision is purely between Gassam and Curtis, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd put Curtis and Moore back in again.
Mm-hmm.
because it leaves you the option. You're there given. Moore, we know, he's settled. He's reapplied himself, and it's showing in what he's producing. Curtis needs game time and the education, and you only get the education playing in those games. You don't get them on the training field. It just doesn't work like that. And with Curtis, you can do what you did against Hibs. You can put him on for the 60 or 70 minutes and take him off.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would do if I was in the position. But again, Danny Rowe's far more qualified than I am. So, the gaffer, we keep repeating it, the gaffer sees them every day. He knows what they're doing. He knows what they're not doing. He knows how they're responding. So, it will say a lot when the team gets announced. It will say a lot, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. Moore's got the capacity to change the game on a dime for us. Curtis has an eye for a goal. That statements are true, Sniper. But it's the fact that obviously Curtis started against Hibs. That was his first start for, first time we've seen Curtis for a long, long time.
1908 was the last time he played, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Moore's suddenly finding, you could see the runs that Moore was making against Hibs, that he's got a little bit of his mojo back. He's got a little bit of swagger about him. So, and then Paul's saying you bring Gassama back in. He's more experienced. As you say, I'm just glad that we're not having to make these decisions. The gaffers that make the decisions, isn't he?
My only problem with Gassama is he beats a man and he goes back to try and beat him twice again.
I know.
Just beat him and put the ball in or put the ball across, deliver it. He's not Jimmy Johnson, is he? He's not Willie Henderson. So beat the man and deliver the ball. That's your job. And if you're defending, chase the man, track back and chase him. That's your job. If you don't get the ball, harry him until the full-backs or the centre-backs pick him up. That's your job. But I just don't trust his judgment in the final third. Yeah. I really don't. And young Curtis, he's young. He needs the education. He needs the experience. But cutting in off the left, he could produce a goal from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just finishing up here on the press conference, Danny Rowe was saying that he's in daily communication with the board heading into the window. He's got good communication with the recruitment team and finding players that will help us fit in with us. That's key, isn't it? Fitting in with us. Instead of just going and, like we have done in previous windows and just sort of scattergunned it a little bit. He's actually looking for specific players for specific positions. And let's be honest, that's how a recruitment team should work, shouldn't it?
Yeah. I'm just looking at multiple man's comment there. Jimmy Johnson before Willie Henderson, yellow card for me. What he needs to remember, what multiple man needs to remember is when you get a financial advisor, they always tell you things go down as well as up. So I finished on the positive with Willie Henderson. You know what I'm saying? So that's your comment. Yeah. That's your. Is that the
hole you're down on, is it?
I think we're in a position now as a team, not a club, as a team, where there must be a bit more confidence about the whole place. Mm-hmm. When they get to Ibrox Tynecastle training ground, there must be a bit more confidence about what they're doing than go back 12, 13 weeks ago. Has to be. Yeah. And hopefully that, and we know, we've seen it before with Rangers, that breeds confidence. Because I think, let's put the worst scenario. We go out after 12 minutes, we're 1 down. If that was Russell Martin, all of us would be going, oh no.
Done.
I don't feel like that now when we concede a goal. Mm-hmm. I still criticise the goal if it's stupid, but I don't feel like, oh, that's the game done. I think we're still going to get back into it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, folks, that is us. We will call it a day there, but we are back tonight at, I believe, 7 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
7 o'clock. I believe it's Connor, myself, and I can't remember.
Yeah, you're on double bubble today, Bryan.
Yeah, I know. Overtime tonight. Let me just double check who's on tonight.
Time sheeting.
Yeah, it's me, Connor, and Craig. So there we go. Connor's in the hot seat tonight. Me and Craig ably assisting him at 7 o'clock. So join us tonight. But if you're wanting to join and get into the member stuff, the link is in the description below. Like and subscribe all the socials and on YouTube. Andrew, thank you very much for joining me at 5.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. As I say, join us at 7 o'clock tonight. More talk about the Hearts game and all the Rangers news. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll speak very, very soon.